What if the reason you're paying more at the gas pump today isn't greed, war, or oil shortages, but it's a single decision that quietly killed the cheapest gas in Fresno, California? Well, this story starts with Costco, a $200 billion plus company that planned to build a 32 pump gas station in Fresno, California, selling up to $1 cheaper per gallon for gas. Now, for working families, that meant real relief. Now, for the city, millions of dollars in tax revenue. For drivers, finally a break, right? Then California stepped in. A lawsuit approved under the state's environmental process landed in court. Judge Jonathan Skiles voided the project approvals. And just like that, the cheapest gas Fresno was ever going to see was gone. No gas pumps, no savings, no explanation that made sense to the people that are actually paying the bills. And here's where it got even worse. While that gas station sat dead in the ground, Phillips 66 shut down a major refinery. Valero, they began pulling back, and lawmakers in Sacramento, they started quietly warning that gas prices could hit $10, even $12 a gallon. Suddenly, Governor Gavin Newsom, he had a problem. Not because the gas prices were rising, but because people started connecting the dots. Now, this is not about one gas station. This is about a system that removes supply, and then it acts completely shocked when the gas prices explode. And then, of course, with Donald J. Trump back in the White House, the contrast in energy direction couldn't be clearer. So the real question is this: did California just regulate itself into a gas crisis? And are you the one that's paying for this? By the way, drop a like for the video and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate your support here. So let's go ahead and start with Costco, because nothing else in this story makes sense until you understand this, okay? So in Fresno, California, Costco proposed a 32 pump gas station. This is something almost unheard of in the state. Now, most California gas stations, they operate with 8, maybe 12 gas pumps, right? Now, this one was built for volume, kind of like Buc-ee's. Anybody ever been to Buc-ee's? Drop a Buc-ee's down below. Anyway, gas and volume matters because Costco's model is very simple. Sell gas 50 cents to $1 cheaper per gallon and take the hit at the pump and win on everything else. Now, for Fresno drivers, this wasn't theoretical. This was going to be the cheapest gas in the city, full stop, okay? Now, for working families already squeezed by rent, groceries, and utilities, that meant hundreds of dollars per year back in their pockets. Now, for the city, it meant jobs, tax revenue, even traffic flowing to a part of town that really needed it. Now, here's the part that most people never connected. This project moved forward under the same California regulatory structure overseen by none other than Governor Gavin Newsom. Local approvals were granted, environmental reviews were completed. By every visible measure, this thing was cleared for takeoff, until suddenly it wasn't. And when the cheapest gas Fresno had ever seen vanished on paper, nobody at the state level explained why that decision would matter far beyond one city block. Now, the project didn't die at a gas pump. It died in a courtroom. So after Fresno officials approved the Costco development, the Hernandez Riverside Coalition for Responsible Planning and Development, they filed a lawsuit that was under California's environmental law framework. Now, this is where the timing really matters. The challenge didn't come before planning. It didn't come during public review. It actually came after approvals were already granted, when reversing course becomes far more disruptive. So the lawsuit focused on California's environmental review process, arguing that the city's analysis was legally flawed. Under state law, that is enough to hit the brakes on everything. Construction stops, financing pauses, timelines collapse. So this is where Judge Jonathan Skiles enters the picture. So his role wasn't political. It wasn't about fuel prices. It was about procedure. So he reviewed whether the city's approvals complied with state requirements. When he ruled, he didn't tweak the project or send it back for minor fixes. He voided the approvals entirely. No outrage, no speeches, just a legal reset button. And with that ruling, a fully approved Costco gas station designed to undercut every competitor in Fresno was suddenly indefinitely frozen. Now, the consequences of that freeze, they wouldn't show up at the courthouse. They would actually show up later at the gas pump. So when that Costco gas station died on paper, the damage didn't show up immediately. It showed up slowly in household budgets. For a working family in Fresno, saving 50 cents to $1 on gas per gallon, this is not about some abstract policy win. That's real money. Now, over a year, that's anywhere from $500 to $1,000 in savings that stays in a checking account instead of disappearing into a fuel tank. Now, keep in mind, Fresno is not Beverly Hills. This is a city where people commute long distances, where trucks move goods every single day, where gas is not optional. Killing the cheapest gas option didn't just remove competition, It removed pressure relief. It told families very quietly that there would be no break coming. This is why this moment matters emotionally, because nothing replaced it. No alternative gas station, no temporary relief, just absence. And when you remove the lowest price option in a market, everything else floats higher. That's not politics, that's math. Now, people didn't protest at the courthouse because they didn't feel it yet. They felt it later, swipe by swipe, fill up by fill up. And this is why this didn't stay local, because once the floor disappears in one city, it becomes easier to pull it out everywhere else. Now, what you're watching unfold here in this story, this isn't just about gas prices or lawsuits. This is about instability. And that same instability shows up in people's finances. And every January, New Year's resolutions sound great on January 1st, but by January 10th, most of them are already gone. But there's one resolution that actually matters right now: getting your finances in order, not just chasing growth, but protecting what you already have. This is where Noble Gold investment comes in. Now, for more than a decade, Noble Gold has helped everyday Americans add gold and silver to their portfolio as a way to reduce market risk and bring balance when the system feels shaky. Not speculation, not hype, just protection. Because when policies change overnight, when prices spike, when systems stop working the way you were told that they would, having part of your wealth outside of that system matters. Now, if that sounds like something that you want to look into, you can visit RonYatesGold.com. That is RonYatesGold.com. I left a link for you down below, or you can give them a phone call at the phone number down below. All right, guys, so let's get back to what this decision actually did for families in Fresno and why this didn't stay local. So here's where the story turns structural. Judge Jonathan Skiles didn't rule on gas prices. He ruled on process. His decision issued what's called a writ of mandate, which sounds technical because it is, but the effect was simple and it was brutal. Every approval Fresno had granted for the Costco project was legally erased. And so the core issue was not traffic, it wasn't noise, it wasn't even fuel. The problem was that the city relied on a climate plan that had already been invalidated in a separate case. Now, that meant that the environmental review had no legal foundation. So once that foundation collapsed, the whole project collapsed right with it. So this is very important. The ruling didn't say Costco couldn't build. It said that the process had to start over. But start over in California doesn't mean delay. It means uncertainty, new studies, new lawsuits, new years lost. And so while lawyers debated paperwork, the market just kept on moving. Demand didn't pause, driving didn't stop. The ruling quietly reset the rules in a way that made supply harder to add and far easier to remove. So this is where the story stops being about one gas station and starts becoming a statewide problem. So while the Fresno Costco project sat frozen, California's fuel supply was quietly shrinking. Phillips 66 shut down a major refinery in Los Angeles, removing about 139,000 barrels per day from the system. Now, that's not a rounding error. That is roughly, about 8% of California's gasoline production gone. Just like that. Now, at nearly the same time, Valero, they began idling operations and signaling that it would pull back from the long-term refining commitments in the state. Then Chevron, one of the largest energy companies in the country, they moved its corporate headquarters out of California entirely, choosing Texas instead. Now, here's the part that most people completely miss. None of these decisions were reactions to demand. Californians, they didn't stop driving. Trucks didn't stop delivering. Emergency vehicles didn't stop running. What changed was the willingness to operate under California's regulatory environment. This is where it gets worse, because every refinery that leaves doesn't just reduce supply, it removes competition. And when competition disappears, prices don't creep up, they jump. Quietly at first, then all at once. Now, there's no ideology in this part, guys, just math. So when supply drops and demand stays flat, prices rise. That's it. California tried to soften the blow by importing fuel, but imports don't create stability. They create dependency. Imported fuel is more expensive, it's more volatile, and far more sensitive to disruptions. This is why lawmakers in Sacramento suddenly changed their tone. Now, for years, the message was denial. Prices aren't that bad. Things will stabilize. Just be patient. Then the warning started. $8 a gallon, $10, even $12 per gallon. Not predictions, preparations. And that shift matters emotionally because people can feel when they're being eased into bad news. Drivers are not imagining this. They're not confused. They're just watching the same pattern repeat. Supply disappears first, explanations come later. By the time that the officials start explaining the gas prices, the damage is already baked in. The shock doesn't come from greed or panic, it comes from delay, from pretending that the system was fine until the numbers no longer cooperate. And by then, there's nowhere left to hide. So while headlines focused on refineries and Costco, something quieter was happening across California. Hundreds of independent gas stations, they were suddenly being forced to shut down by regulation, not by market failure. Under Senate Bill 445, stations with older, single-walled underground fuel tanks were required to upgrade to double-walled fuel systems by January 1, 2026. Now, on paper, it sounded responsible, reasonable, right? But in practice, it was devastating. The average retrofit cost hovered around $2 million per station. Now, for family-owned stations operating on razor-thin margins as it is, that number wasn't challenging. It was impossible. Now, these weren't corporate change. These were multi-generation businesses, often immigrant families who had done everything right. They applied for state assistance. They waited for months, sometimes years. Contractors were booked solid. Approvals stalled. Deadlines didn't. Now, here's the key point that most people miss. These closures weren't about leaks, spills, or environmental emergencies. Many of these stations, they were operating safely. They were shut down because compliance moved faster than capital did. So, while California talked about protecting the environment, it quietly removed hundreds of functioning fuel access points from the map. So this is where the story turns from economic pain to public safety. So as gas stations closed, both large projects like Costco in Fresno and small independents statewide, fuel access gaps began to form. In rural parts of California, fire engines now travel 20 to 30 miles just to refuel before responding to emergencies. Now that's not an inconvenience. That is lost time when minutes matter. Ambulance services began planning routes around remaining gas stations. School districts shortened bus routes. Municipal fleets adjusted schedules, not based on efficiency, but based on where fuel was still available. Now, this is not about prices, it's about functionality. A fuel system isn't just for commuters, it's the backbone of emergency response, logistics, and daily operations. So when access disappears, everything else stretches thinner. Response times grow, costs rise. Coverage shrinks, and none of this shows up in official talking points because it's not dramatic all at once. It's gradual. It spreads quietly. And by the time people realize what's actually happening, the infrastructure that they depended on is already gone. So I want you to pay attention to the tone shift because this tells you everything, okay? For years, when gas prices spiked in California, the response from lawmakers was dismissal. It's temporary. It's corporate greed. It's the markets. Just wait it out. It's this, it's that, right? But now the language has completely changed. So instead of denial, you're hearing explanations, long ones, very careful ones, preemptive ones. Now that shift is not accidental. It happens when officials realize prices are not coming back down on their own. So when the system no longer has slack, when supply losses from Costco being blocked in Fresno, from refineries like Phillips 66 and Valero pulling back, from hundreds of gas stations that are going dark, they have stacked up beyond repair. Now emotionally, people feel gaslit, not because prices are high, but because they're being told that this is unavoidable. That's the complex, that no one could have seen this coming. But drivers did see it coming, right? Didn't you see it coming? I saw it coming. They watched the cheapest options disappear first. Then they watched access shrink. And now they're being walked gently toward numbers that they would have sounded unthinkable just a few years ago. That's not leadership. That's damage control. So here's a connective tissue that makes all of this make sense. This wasn't one bad decision. This was a chain reaction. It started when California made it harder to add new fuel supply than to remove existing supply. The Costco project in Fresno wasn't special because it was a gas station. It was special because it represented price pressure entering the system. Then came the lawsuit. Then the ruling by Judge Jonathan Skiles. Then the approvals vanished. Then refineries left. Then independent stations closed. Each step followed the same logic. Compliance first, consequences later. This is how regulatory systems fail, not through one dramatic collapse, but through compounding friction. Every delay discourages investment. Every uncertainty pushes operators away. Every exit tightens the squeeze. So when people ask why gas prices feel out of control, the answer isn't even at the gas pump. It's upstream. It's in policy, in the courtrooms, in a framework that treats supply as optional and demand as guaranteed. And once that imbalance sets in, it doesn't self-correct. Now, at some point, patterns stop being coincidences. This entire chain, from Costco being blocked in Fresno to refineries like Phillips 66 and Valero pulling back, to lawmakers now warning about $10 and $12 per gallon gas, has unfolded under the same leadership framework in California, led by Governor Gavin Newsom. Now that matters, not as a personal attack, but as a reality check. Because the through line here isn't oil companies, it isn't drivers, it isn't even the gas stations. It's a governing approach that treats fuel supply as something that can be restricted, delayed, or even removed without consequences, until the consequences arrive all at once. Now, if you contrast that with the national backdrop, as of January 9th, 2026, President Donald J. Trump is back in the White House, openly prioritizing energy supply, domestic production, and price stability. Now, that doesn't magically fix California's system, but it does make the contrast impossible to ignore. One direction emphasizes abundance first, regulation second. The other emphasizes control first, then explains the fallout. And this is why the story doesn't end with one gas station or one lawsuit or one refinery. Because unless the underlying framework changes, this just keeps on repeating. And this isn't the end of it.